what's happened is with Brock, we said there's going to be an announcement in 3 weeks, but it's an 8-week injury. So, we wanted to make sure that, we had ourselves covered.
All right, some revealing news from Canucks general manager Jim Benning at a press conference earlier today. Let's get right into it with some instant analysis brought to you by Tylenol Rapid Release Gel Caps. Rapid release for rapid relief. Let's bring in our Dan Murphy, who's at the rink right now. Dan, you heard all of that from Jim Benning. Were you surprised when he announced, obviously the big news, that Brock Boeser will be out probably for the rest of the regular season?
Yeah, that was the biggest shocker for sure, because at first they said it was going to be out for a couple of games and reevaluated, and then they said out for 3 weeks. But with new information, it seems like he's out for at least 2 months, which is right to the end of the regular season, meaning he may not even make it back from playoffs. Same goes with Josh Levo. We also know that Michael Ferland is being shut down for the year. So really, he said this is what predicated them really going after Tyler Toffoli. He knew he needed help. Heck, they needed help on the wing in the top six before Boeser got hurt.
Yeah.
So they had to go get a player. They had to pay a steep price to get it. But that's why they went to the Kings and ultimately paid that price for Toffoli.
Well, I was going to ask, there are a lot of people suggesting the price they paid to get him out of LA was a little much. There's a little bit of desperation. Jim Benning said he wants to make the postseason and give this team a chance because they fought so long. I guess you'd agree with that mentality as well, given how close they are right now, right?
Well, I think so. I mean, it's a bit of a surprising season for them. I don't think people expected them to be where they are with a chance to win the division. And you can say all you want about the Pacific Division, but there's still a chance they could miss the playoffs. He basically said he didn't want this season to die on the vine. He didn't want the bottom to fall out. He didn't want the players who have worked so hard all season long, and the coaches as well, to just say to them, sorry guys, we've lost a bunch of regular forwards and we're just going to see if we can make it in with the guys we got. So he wanted to send a message is what he said. And also let's be frank about this. The ownership wants this team to make the playoffs. Jim Benning is GMing for this team to make the playoffs. They haven't been there in 4 years. So I think that's all part of the reasoning as well. So, yeah, I mean, I think the message sent now is playoffs or bust, because if they do miss the playoffs, well, that's going to be a big swing and a miss in terms of this Toffoli trade, especially if they cannot re-sign him.
I know you can't bring down 2 jerseys from the rafters when Hank and Daniel were there last week, but if the team was to make the postseason, who would it be on the back of right now, given the current roster?
I think probably still Jacob Markstrom. He's been the team's MVP. He has been outstanding all season long. So I would say number one with him. And then after that, Pettersson and Miller. I mean, this team has been dragged along all season long by its elite players. That's Markstrom, obviously, Miller, Pettersson, and Quinn Hughes. So perhaps their best players can help drag this team across the finish line. And if so, I think that Benning will be happy, because once you're in, you never know what can happen, especially with that first round matchup being a Pacific matchup. So it is a risky move by Jim Benning. He feels they have enough prospects, but I think Tyler Madden was one of the fastest rising prospects in the last couple seasons for this team. Likely would have been a Hobey Baker finalist if not for the injury he sustained last week.
You think quickly, Dan, there's another move to be made ahead of the deadline on Monday?
Well, I mean, they still are talking about they'd like to have a little more of a physical player, a grittier player. That's what they got Michael Ferland for, and he won't be helping them down the stretch. So, but the fact is they're capped out. He doesn't want to give up any more draft picks. He doesn't have a pick until the third round if they make the playoffs. If they don't make it, then they get their first round pick for this season. So I don't think he wants to give up any draft picks, and I'm sure he doesn't want to give up any more of his kind of A prospects. So I'm not sure what else can be done unless they can offload some salary somehow, because I don't think this team can afford, even though they did what they did now, they can't afford to be spending more assets to get more help at this point.
All right, Dan, thank you so much for joining us on such short notice. Canucks next play tomorrow against the Minnesota Wild. Thanks a lot, Dan.
All right, Faizal, have a good day.